Hey guys, it's a beautiful day to go for a walk here at my old kind of alma mater. I graduated from Med Central College of Nursing, which is now owned by Ashland U. But regardless, I'm on Ashland U campus, and they still have a nice theology department. So let us talk about Matthew 7 and 2 today while I'm out here. I was thinking, I see a lot of people and they think that when you have an opinion or a observation, it sometimes comes off as a criticism and then therefore a judgment. Opinion and observation are not necessarily judgments. So let's start with that. Judgment in and of itself means to basically do what a judge does, and that is to render some sort of a consequence, right? There's a verdict. You've made a verdict. And basically what Jesus is saying in Matthew 7 and 2 is that be cautious to judge and condemn not, because the extent to which I judge, he's talking about a law of creation, by the way. The extent at which I judge you out of my heart and my heart posture. God has made this creation in such a way that we will indeed be judged back at that same extent. Whether that be at the throne, looking up to him and he directly gets in our face as a manifestation of the thing, or through some consequence. I believe that this is where we blur the lines of reaping and sowing and karma and that sort of thing. It's not always an exact way I think it would be. So like man wants to we put a monetary value and a length of time on something and say that that's sufficient punishment. God, on the other hand, he's kind of creative. He doesn't always use money. He uses random things in the material to teach lessons. Humans, thoughts, visions, dreams. Lengths of time can be instantaneous. It could be 20 years. And yet it is just every single time. And I find that this beautiful creation maintains a degree of homeostasis because of a very divine hand being placed upon it. So I think the point is, if I go around here casting judgments, like finalized decisions on things, verdicts, like if I were to look at this concrete and say, for instance, this is hard, the concrete starts staring back into me. There's a degree of consciousness in all matter. I believe that. I do believe that inherently there is a degree of consciousness, maybe not as we view it as sentience, but a degree of being in all matter that will start to stare back into you. Nietzsche said it best, if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss begins to stare back into you. If I start to think of the ways that I mean this concrete is hard, I mean dense, I mean matter is dense and together. But then I can start thinking, break it down to the quantum scale, and actually these things aren't even touching. Is it really hard? It's subjectively hard, but it could subjectively be soft. So then I think, all things are subject in that way, but there is an objective truth. And I think it's beyond the illusion of me looking at a piece of concrete. So rendering a judgment, you have to be very cautious. We have to line it up to God's truth. And I do believe God, he reveals himself to us constantly, because it says in the scriptures that none of us are with an excuse, in other words, to be scumbags, because he has sufficiently, and by scumbags, I that is an Ernie term. It's not, it doesn't mean even somebody who walks around sinning. I'm saying we have no excuse to say that there is no God, because he has programmed us himself. It'd be like me making a robot. I put in the code that there is a God. The robot knows it. Deep down knows it, yet denies it. I think that's what he's saying. We're not robots, but he has coded us in a way, right? DNA and that sort of thing physically. And spiritually, I imagine, since this is a reflection of the spirit and the physical, we are some sort of a reflection of some sort of spiritual code. I can only imagine, but I can only speculate because I really don't know. But being that we are made in an image or a reflection of God. Now, what wouldn't be good is for me to speculate on things of heaven. Trying to manifest heaven here on earth, like the Tower of Babel, right? They're trying to build this thing to achieve heaven on earth, or like give that sort of a comparison, because I that's like predicting the future. If I don't know, I don't know. I simply don't know. There's always a chance that I don't know. So the degree of uncertainty, this is like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, I suppose. And that's why I feel we are limited. Like if you look at calculus, we're limited in the amount of knowledge we can possess as material beings. So we have to look to the spirit as something that is both beyond us and unknown, and thus a higher power. So I can't imagine somebody saying that there is no God. It's written into us to question this and to wonder and to know. And that's what he's saying. You have no excuse. You know. So if I made that robot and then it denied me, I would know for a fact that it is choosing to deny me because I made it. Like, you can't get one over on God. You can't get one over on the programmer. That's the whole point. So if I lie to you and I'm manipulating you, he created me and you. I am thus lying to him. And if I'm rendering an unjust judgment on you from a bad heart posture, maliciously, I become a malignancy. I become like a cancer in the creation rather than something productive. Do you understand? That's what I get out of Matthew 7:2. It's like that is going to come back on me. And I'm still saved, mind you, because I believe I'm still saved. I'm still an eternal, heaven-bound thing. Yet I'm erring, and it'll become a lesson in which I'm honed or sanctified if I do this. It's not saying I'm infallible because I'm saved. I'm still fallible. The only thing infallible would be this perfect God. I am simply an observer. I'm one component of this thing. Like, I cannot be all three at once, like a trinity, like a generator, observer, destroyer kind of thing, a God, a God. I can't be that. I can't be a Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's a lot at once. But that's what I get when I'm walking around out here. I get inspired by nature.